Good morning, everybody. Nadia here again and this morning we're up to True Scriptures Tarnak, Shamut, Sonam, Exodus chapter 21. So I'm eager to get in. Let's get started. See what happens with the children of Yeshua today. These are the ordinances that you are to set before them. If you buy a Bari servant, he is to serve for 6 years, and in the 7th he is to go out a free man, owing nothing. If he came in by himself, he is to go out by himself. If he was married, then his wife is to go out with him. If his master gave him a wife and she gives birth to sons or daughters, the wife and her children belong to her master. The man is to go out by himself. But if the male servant plainly says, I love my master, my wife and my children, I do not want to go out a free man, then his master shall bring him before a lure, and shall bring him to the door or to the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with a pointed tool, and he shall serve his master forever. If a man sells his daughter to be a female servant, she is not to go out free as male servants do. If she does not please her master, who chose her for himself, then he must let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreigners, because he has broken faith with her. If he had selected her for his son, he must grant her the rights of a daughter. If he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first wife of her food, clothing, and her marital rights. If he does not provide her with these 3 things, then she is to go free without any payment of money. Anyone who strikes a person and it causes them to die, that person is to be put to death. However, if it was done unintentionally and a lure allowed it to happen, then I shall appoint a place where they shall flee. But if anyone schemes and slaughters someone deliberately, you shall take that person away from my altar and put them to death. Anyone that attacks their father or mother, or mother, is to be put to death. Anyone who kidnaps someone, whether the victim is sold or still in their possession, is to be put to death. Anyone that curses their father or mother is to be put to death. If anyone gets into a fight with someone and one person strikes the other with a stone or with their fist and the person does not die but is confined to their bed, the one who struck the blow shall not be held liable held liable if the injured person can get up and walk around with a staff. However, the guilty party must pay the injured person for any loss of time and they must make sure that the person is completely healed. If anyone strikes their male or female servant with a rod and they die because of it, that person must be punished. but they are not to be punished if the servant recovers after a day or two, since the servant is their property. If anyone gets into a fight and hurts a pregnant woman and it causes her to give birth prematurely, but there is no serious injury, the offender must be fined an amount of whatever her husband demands and the judges allow. But if there is a serious injury that occurs, then you are to take a life for life, an eye for an eye, a tooth for tooth, a hand for hand, a foot for foot, a burn for burn, a wound for wound, and a bruise for bruise. If anyone strikes their male or female servant in the eye and causes them to go blind in their eye, they must let the servant go free and compensate them for the eye. If anyone knocks out a tooth of their male or female servant, they must let them go free and compensate them for the tooth. If an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox is to be stoned to death, and its meat must not be eaten. The owner of the ox shall not be responsible, but if the ox has had a habit of goring people and its owner has been warned, but they have not kept it penned up, and it slaughters a person, then the ox is to be stoned to death, and the owner also is to be put to death. However, if payment is demanded, the owner may save their own life if they pay whatever is demanded of them. This law applies if the ox gores a son or a daughter. If the ox gores a male or female servant, the owner must pay 30 shekels of silver, or approximately 12 ounces, to the servant's master, and the ox is to be stoned to death. If anyone uncovers a pit or digs a pit and fails to cover it, and an ox or donkey falls into it, the one who did not cover the pit must pay the owner for the loss and take the dead animal in exchange. Sorry. If anyone's ox injures another person's ox and it dies, the two parties must sell the live ox and divide the money and the dead animal equally. However, if it was known that the ox had a habit of goring in the past, and the owner did not keep it penned up, the owner must pay an ox for an ox and take the dead animal in exchange.